for an MSNBC show that, quote, because the people in Washington didn't like what he was saying, they wanted him off the air. And he was given a choice: either tone it down, either talk about what we want you to talk about and not any of this other stuff, or you're gone. And he took the decision, and he's gone. So you've got a mainstream media daring or being forced to dip its toe into the truth just a little bit by giving these guys platforms, you know, simply to remain relevant. But even that's not allowed to run on for any decent length of time because people just get too nervous, and before you know it, they're gone. But, you know, if it's an info war that's going to change minds, change behavior, ultimately change the world for the better, then the figures are definitely in our favor. Confidence in mainstream media collapsing at all-time record levels. Daily Beast reports, is the web driving us mad? Questions about the internet's deleterious effects on the mind are at least as old as hyperlinks. But even among web skeptics, the idea that a new technology might influence how we think and feel, let alone contribute to a great American crack-up, was considered silly and naive, like waving a cane at electric light or blaming the television for kids these days. Instead, the internet was seen as just another medium, a delivery system, not a diabolical machine. It made people happier and more productive. And where was the proof otherwise? Now, however, the proof is starting to pile up. The first good peer-reviewed research is emerging, and the picture is much gloomier than the trumpet blasts of web utopians have allowed. The current incarnation of the internet, portable, social, accelerated, and all-pervasive, may be making us not just dumber or lonelier, but more depressed and anxious, prone to obsessive-compulsive and attention deficit disorders, even outright psychotic behavior. Our digitized minds can scan like those of drug addicts, and normal people are breaking down in sad and seemingly new ways. So another story about how people's addiction to social networking websites, and they kind of paint a broad brush, they try and denounce the whole internet with this, but it's mainly social media, how it's literally driving people mad by rewiring their brains to resemble drug addicts. And the case they use to illustrate it is this Coney 2012 guy, the producer, the main guy who was in the film, who, of course, you will remember, went completely nuts, stripped naked, you know, started beating his fists on the sidewalk, screaming out loud. And apparently they explain it, whether it's true or not, is that it was all because of his obsession with the reaction to his film on social networks. So he became so enthralled and obsessed by both the positive and negative reaction that it just literally rewired his brain and sent him over the edge. So while, you know, the internet's proven great in terms of the info war, we've got a whole generation of people on the flip side of that who are having their brains rewired and regressing back into childhood-style behaviors. No, you know, this demand to always have attention for every little Facebook link they post or every little comment they want to get. And what it's doing, according to this article which cites this study, is creating what scientists call associative thinking, which serves to reduce attention span, reduce the ability to concentrate, and actually reduces the empathy of human beings because, you know, we're bombarded by so many graphic images. And people are just spending their whole time on the internet. They're not forming real physical relationships with people. They're not going outside. They're getting locked in this box of the World Wide Web, which is kind of ironic, seeing as I'm talking to you sat behind a computer and you're probably watching this on YouTube. But we need to get outside and experience real life as much as we can, because this obsession with social networks, as these studies show, is creating a generation of apathetic, nihilistic, you know, attention span lacking wireheads whose entire lives are just a, you know, a waste of time. So we need to occasionally turn off, unplug ourselves from the matrix. Time.com reports H1N1 vaccines linked to Guillain-Barré syndrome but not birth defects. How safe are flu vaccines? Two studies show that the H1N1 vaccine poses no risk of birth defects when given to pregnant women. Other studies say something else, but does slightly increase the risk of Guillain-Barré syndrome, a reversible autoimmune disorder in patients over 50. And this was a study published in the Journal of American Medical Association and they claim that it had no effect on birth defects. I've read other stories about studies that say the opposite, but that it does cause this autoimmune system. A separate group of scientists in Quebec looked at the risk of Guillain-Barré syndrome in millions of people given the vaccine in Canada from 2009 to 10. So it's having these side effects. We've got news stories about vaccines in Cambodia. Looks like they've hushed it up. Dozens of kids dead after receiving a vaccine. So while the vaccine industry is desperate to keep this kind of stuff under wraps, it does keep creeping out in these studies, which we post on an almost daily basis. You go to the science and technology section on PRISONPLANET.com, you'll find many similar stories. Salon.com reports, Bertha fears Obama re-election. We will be hunted down like dogs if Obama is re-elected, says Bertha Joseph Farah. And this is Salon.com, but it's actually the Southern Poverty Law Centre has been afforded its own special section within this news website to spew its propaganda. Certain things should not be mixed together. Bleach and ammonia, white wine and red meat. Alex Jones and Joseph Farah. Proof of the latter mixture's toxicity came last week when Jones, the gravelly-voiced internet personality, best known for his obsession with truther theories about the government's supposed complicity in 9/11, interviewed Farah, the mustachioed overlord of all things Bertha, on his radio show. And basically goes on to relate the story that we covered, which was linked on the Drudge Report, about how Farah had this drone. He lived in a remote property out in Northern Virginia, nothing surrounding it. Out walking his dog and noticed a friendly little spy drone was surveying his property. So this article basically goes on to try and make fun of it in the usual pathetic, weak, done to death, sophomoric, strawman hit piece way. And it's par for the course, because as we've exhaustively documented with numerous articles, the SPLC is nothing but a parasitic organization that basically secures its funding by manufacturing the myth, like in this story, that people like Alex Jones, Joseph Farah, are somehow leading this army of non-existent, violent right-wing extremists, in this case to somehow, you know, declare war on drones and shoot down drones. It's funny, though, when they actually try to provide examples of these so-called extremists that we're all supposed to be leading, it's the likes of Richard Poplawski, who was, of course, the guy who had a domestic complaint with his mother about his dog peeing on the carpet, got into the firefight with cops, who, of course, I think it was two of which unfortunately died. But then the media suddenly came out and said, oh, you know, this guy Poplawski, the cop killer, he was an Alex Jones fan. He was an INFOWARS.com fan. Of course, when we actually checked back on the comments that he had made on INFOWARS.com, he hated Alex Jones. He was constantly attacking us. And in fact, several big publications, media publications, had to retract that smear. But guess who didn't? That's right, the Southern Poverty Law Centre. They were also similarly hesitant to retract the fact that comments on their own website for a period of months included a statement by somebody who openly expressed their desire to see Alex Jones executed. Again, they weren't that concerned about extremism when it's directed at the likes of us. But God forbid should Joseph Farah go and complain about drones surveying his property, because that makes him the extremist in their eyes. But we've documented the facts. SPLC, tens of millions of dollars a year to demonize politically active Americans as domestic terrorists. If they didn't do it, they wouldn't get the funding. They would cease to exist. They're called the most profitable civil rights charity in America. And now they're given platforms in the establishment media by the likes of Salon.com. So again, they can continue their demonization campaign. But as we've documented with Mark Potok and the rest of them on numerous occasions, it's done for very little other reason than to demonize their political enemies, chill free speech, and justify their giant budget, which comes in at the tune of tens of millions of dollars a year. So another massive, massive fail on behalf of the SPLC. quote of the day on InfoWars Nightly News. Quote, "We are moving toward a new world order, the world of communism. We shall never turn off that road." Mikhail Gorbachev, 1987. And certainly now in the years since, we've seen the very worst aspects of monopoly capitalism and communism forming as this new world order unfolds. And isn't it interesting that Mr. Gorbachev went on to become a prominent figure within the United Nations, which through its Agenda 21 program, through its arms treaty for a gun grab to kill the Second Amendment, is continuing the march towards that new world order with every single step. And again, I urge you to sign up at PRISONPLANET.tv, especially if you're watching this on YouTube, of course. Show goes out first to subscribers. You get archives spanning back with the Alex Jones Show years, with this show ever since it started. Again, live video streaming of the Alex Jones Show, special reports, features, of course, every Alex Jones documentary, ton of multimedia content. It's been going since 2004. 15-day free trial still on offer. So please support this network. It funds what we do. We couldn't do it without your support. PrisonPlanet.tv. And of course, our new social networking website is planetinfowars.com. People have been calling for this for years. This is where you can go to meet like-minded people in your area, work on activist projects, attend special events. You can set up your own blog there, network with like-minded people. There's also a dating section if you want to try and strike up relationships with people in your area. It's all at planetinfowars.com. Thousands, tens of thousands of members already, and it's waiting for you right there, planetinfowars.com. We're going to come back after this quick break with Steve Jolly, Anti-Big Brother Crusader. We'll be back. Stay tuned.
Have you been to InfoWarsShop.com lately? Express your inner patriot with these brand new InfoWars t-shirts. Say it loud with the InfoWars Bullhorn shirt, or educate the sheeple with the Bill of Rights shirt. Grope the public's mind with the TSA shirt. And with this shirt, you can let the dark side know of the Rebel Alliance's power. All available at InfoWarsShop.com.